Welcome guys, this is the 60-gallon lagoon that I'm going to be setting up. And here is the sand that I'm using. It's Fiji pink. But you know what? Let's actually take a step back and talk about the stand. So this is a quick shot of the build of the stand. It's just simple 2x4s. I used Joey from KingOfDIY's method here. And it's worked great for me. It is a bulky stand, I would say. You know, it could be made a lot smaller and still be plenty strong, but I trust it, and they're very modular. That's what I really like about them. And here it is with the stand complete. One of the tanks is gonna go where that 40 breeder is, and one will be in the middle of the room. That will be our lagoon tank. The corals that you're seeing now are actually set up where that 40 breeder was in one of these 60-gallon deep blues. So for this project, I use 3 20-pound bags of Carib Sea Fiji pink. See me pushing it around here. And I originally thought that the mangroves needed some kind of substrate or soil to grow into, but it turns out that they can just grow right along the rocks, and they don't really need any kind of sand or gravel or soil to grow into. There is a really cool PDF online called A Guide to the Ecology and Care of Mangroves by Julian Sprung, and I will link that in the video description. So I got this sand all leveled out now, and it's time to start adding some rocks. You know, this is a good depth in my opinion, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and I'm really excited to start scaping out this tank. I'm just looking at it from every direction. Here is the palette of rock that we have to deal with, and there's all these different types of rocks here. There's flat ones with flat edges on one side, ones that are coral, you know, there's Pukani, there's fake rock. It's a pretty big mix here, but I've got an idea of how I want this thing to turn out, and it starts with kind of a built-up corner here. I want the rock to come up in that corner by the black overflow and even emerge from the water. So I'm just going to keep adding rock there slowly in ways that looks pretty natural until I find something that's aesthetically pleasing. This is part of putting the tank together that you really don't want to rush. This is personally one of my favorite parts of putting a tank together, but it's going to be like this pretty much forever after you set it up. You know, you can change it later, but you could be messing with the stability of the tank. So it's best just to get this looking exactly how you want it from the start. This took me about an hour and a half of scaping for me to really like this rock structure that I ended up with. You'll see here that there's a couple tunnels that fish will be able to swim through, and yeah, just this amazing piece of old coral that is shelving off of the front of it and will be a really cool place for corals and fish to perch on. And mangroves will be growing up in that top left corner near the overflow. I really like the balance of the rock in this aquascape. Now it's time to fill it. This tank is going to simmer now for about 2 or 3 months. I seeded it with a couple rocks from the sump of another tank, and I am adding food to it about once a week, just a little flake food. This tank actually does not even have the sump running yet because I'm still considering setting up more creative return flow. So I gotta decide what I'm doing with the return lock line tubing. Okay, well that's enough of cloudy water. Let's see it cleared up. There we go. Just like I spent a couple months figuring out the aquascape for this tank, now I'm going to spend the next couple months figuring out the livestock. So stay tuned for future updates on this lagoon reef tank.